Hello, welcome to Saturday Chat. And Bob, after much request, here is Chicken. He's busy looking at the aeroplanes on the ceiling. Not sure if these things are ready to pounce on him or not. Bob has been asking if Chicken can have a visit, so he'll have a short visit and then I'll put him back and carry on the chat. And Budgie is in the background calling for Chicken. He's how old is he? He's probably, I think he must be about 8 years old now. He doesn't have a huge vocabulary. He's got a number of sounds that he makes and a couple of whistles and a few words here and there. Doesn't come in here that often because if he flies then models get damaged. So he's busy looking around at everything, very astonished at what's happening in here. But I'll leave him there for the talk about this first little one. So during the week I pulled out this Airfix kit and I noticed that it was a model that I'd obtained from someone and they'd glued wing halves together, landing lights in and clear parts in. And I thought, well, okay, then it's a good candidate for just gluing together and seeing if I can do a quick build, which I tried to do. I first thought, could I do it in an hour, like similar to when we first started building. I think an hour was probably pushing it, and I couldn't even do it in 2 hours. Closer to 3, and I wasn't trying to do anything fancy. I was just trying to get it reasonably well constructed, but even that was not. So I mean, it's sort of symmetrical, but it's not a good build at all, and I'm not even going to bother putting on the decals. One of the undercarriage sides slid in quite nicely, the other one did not at all. That propeller shaft ended up not going all the way in because it hadn't gone all the way into its little backing ring thing. That one's okay. I mean, it's nice enough to look at, and I think with a bit of work one could turn it into a nice aircraft, but I'm not that much into the Cessna 02B or Cessna 337. And it's not one that I built as a kid, so I don't have any particular attachment to it. The clear parts fitted in quite well, surprisingly well compared to some of the other Airfix kits clear parts, so that went very well. Yeah, I wasn't happy with the wings at all. It's they're not dead straight. To get them looking straight, one ends up going a bit down, another one ends up going a little bit up. It's not something that would come across clearly on there, but it's not really great. Okay, I'm going to put Chicken back and then continue the talk. But I was trying to see how fast I could build, and I'd like to pull out one of my other old Airfix kits which I don't feel particularly the need to build very well, and see if I can actually slap one together in an hour. You know, when in the 70s when I started, no build took over 2 hours. Everything was built within 2 hours. You know, we really enjoyed it, having those models, you know, bought and built within usually a Saturday afternoon, I think. Yeah. Okay, that's that one. I spent a little bit of time working on the U2 wings. It looks very rough now, only because it's a black plastic, and when you sand it, it gives a very grey and white image. The surface, although recessed panel lines, had quite a number of oddities on it, including, looks like, I don't know how they pour the plastic into the molds, but if it's not fully homogenized, you get these lines where it almost looks like you can see them having poured in plastic. And sometimes it's not completely smooth on the surface. And you get, you sometimes, that one is fairly even, that line there. But there are other places where, when I started sanding it, absolutely not smooth. And then of course the sink marks there. That's because they molded this outer section as a solid piece, which I really don't like. It's probably actually one of the worst features when they mold something partially thick and partially thin, including this entire flap section, which actually gets quite thick at one stage, and then it drops down into the half of the wing which you have to glue on. So really disappointed, but on the other hand, I think that by this boxing one can estimate that this is a very early Academy kit. So it's sort of not really a wonder that that this is not good at all. I don't know date, can't see any date, but I would guess, what would that be? Earliest of 90s or even late 80s. Anyway, it'll make an okay model. We'll put the U2 together at some stage. As I mentioned, I managed to cut it, and it's really, really tricky, and to be honest, quite annoying to cut that molded canopy. So this is not going to be able to be glued because it is such a thin section, and it'll just pop off for no reason, and it won't hold on very well. So I was thinking of putting a little ridge sort of just under the where the canopy frame would be, so that you don't actually mess with the view, to glue this on. So this has ended up thinner, a slight bit thinner, yeah, fair bit thinner than your average Vacform. I think this is the Squadron box. Although sometimes with these, when they mold certain canopies, the tops get very thin. This one's a very nice molding. Sometimes the top of these turrets are, yeah, that one I can feel, very soft. This canopy, the Mosquito, very nice. I mean, not that you're meant to go and put much pressure on it, but gluing these Vacform canopies on can be immensely tricky due to the very low contact area. And I'd be interested to hear from some of you how you achieve that, other than, with what the relevant glue is. I'm just talking about just the amount of contact area. So if you've used a white glue or clear fix or whatever, and you accidentally put a bit of pressure later on when you're holding your model, does that tend to break off part of the connection? I have used a few of them, and I try and I hardly touch those models because I'm not wanting to have to redo those canopies. But this is a really tiny little part. I would like to not have this so delicate that I can't touch this canopy anymore. And really, we're only talking about that little area which is grey there. So the canopy runs right past there and around. I'll do nothing about that. I just want to try and get something over there and there to mount this nicely. And then, to be honest, today I actually better spray the wheel wells, or paint the wheel wells, and spray the insides of the doors, and then get this one. I remember I don't have landing gear. I need to. They broke in half. They're very, very thin and they can't be fixed. So I need to figure out something. Just use brass or something. But that's worth getting fixed. This is that tester's hawk Harvard with its molded in insignia, you see there and there. But this one's, you know, it's built and painted. It'll be quite nice, and I'll put the decals of the insignia over there. So I just need to get to this one. I was just looking through my decals and trying to find a reasonable set, do the canopy framing, and that one can be done. This gets the very, very simple undercarriage. Tail wheel is on there, so I just need to paint that. So it's very, very simple. There's nothing, actually nothing in the cockpit at all. Oh, I brought out this little Airfix. Which I decided to do like this, but it needs a little bit more work. Engine needs to go on there, but cowling will be off and wings will be off, so it needs that edge connection, which looks a bit like this. So that's the look I'm going for there. I've got it on the one side, but not on the other side. That's just with foil, some like not coffee. Can't remember what you got that foil on, Milo tins or things like that. But anything that's sort of semi-stiff. I need to put on the baggage door and the fire extinguisher door, just sort of open and loose and a bit damaged. But quite a nice old effect that I've got on there. A very dusty brown. Yeah, the light doesn't do well in this room as far as looking inside. Very dusty and brown cockpit. And the reason that the tires are flattened right down to the rim is because it's modeled to be standing on very, very aged tires which are flattened right down to the rim. It doesn't quite look like that. Obviously, there's a little bit more tire flap down at the bottom, but that'll just be as it is. So this one really needed a couple of canopy parts, baggage door, and so on. And this one was finished as much as I was going to do it. Sort of a similar thing, but a very quick build, really just to look like a dauntless fuselage that had been standing in a hangar being pooped on by birds for decades. Not that I'm sure any dauntless ever had such a thing, but I was just messing around with it. So I've done that. I've done just a fictitious sort of plate there. I don't know how realistic that is, but it passes. I haven't done it on that side. And a bit of like a piece of tarpaulin just hanging over there, or a piece of mat as well as there. It's not, I mean, it's obviously not the best build, but it's okay. It's something interesting in the shelf. So I was looking at these Ventura decals for the Kiwi Harvard, and I'm going to do one of the nice academies. It's actually time that I did one of the nice academy Harvards again, just with the Kiwi decals that I got. There's a few variations. You've got that, and you've got that. So there's the bigger checkers on the nose and the smaller checkers on the nose. You've got the orange, the more orange scheme, and the more red-orange scheme. I'm not sure exactly which one. I'm sort of thinking I like the idea of the smaller checker on the nose for this one. and using the slightly more interesting walkway decals. Just gives it a bit of a nice look. So I also have that in 1/48. So I want to do a 172 version of one of the Kiwi schemes to stand next to the 1/48 when I get to that. Oh, this color actually was an interesting experimentation, and what I should show you, which is worth seeing, is the sanded rivet and panel line pattern, which is very tricky to get to come through on there, but it's all of these lines behind there. Same on that side, if I can just get it to. So this color is silver, and I wanted something that was just going to give me a little bit of a different aluminium look, which I definitely achieved. I really like this particular version of the aluminium that I mixed up, which had some green in it. I added a little dash of green into that, and I can't remember which, and I didn't write it down, so I'd have to experiment again when I want to try and reproduce this. And then I sanded the rivets off just about the right amount. So this came out really well for a Airfix partial modification. This has got the, you can sort of see it in there, that has got the Academy interior in an Airfix kit. Now why, you ask, would I do that? Why would I take the good Academy interior away from an Academy kit? And this is because one of the builds that I'm doing is completely upgrading the Academy interior, which is also far from perfect. So the upgrade of one of the Airfix can get the Academy, and the upgrade of the Academy will get scratch built interior. So that's a very nice cockpit interior in that Airfix kit. And with the surface having been done like that, I think it comes out pretty well. So I just need to do the other parts, put an engine frame on there, and then put an engine on. One of those many projects where I reach a certain point and then it just stands for years and years and years. And one of the things I've been looking at in the week was, past 2 weeks, is the list of builds that I'd like to do and that I think I'm going to do in 2024, and then I'll make a list for 2025. So my starting off list of all the models I'd like to touch this year ends up being some large number like 25 or 30, which is obviously not going to happen. I'd like it to happen, but it's not going to happen. Then I write it out by month, and it reduces down to a number something like 20, which we also know is not going to happen. Realistically, 12 models might get built. And at this stage, where we may, I think we should reach 12, but they're not all fresh builds for the year. The Mustangs, which are currently there, I think, yes, all of those there. The 7 Mustangs, they are scheduled, and in fact they are of the highest priority at the moment and have been for a while, and they just need last painting and decaling. I think I did show you this. This is all the props and exhausts and undercarriage. So that's all done and quite ready. So the Mustangs don't have a ton left to do on them, but last work on the paint jobs and decals. But back to the point is, I commonly think that I'm going to be working on quite a lot more than reality, like double to triple. And to actually get these things finished, I'm going to have to stop doing that. I'm going to have to I can do my multiple builds, and that means sort of by January or at any time in the year, I've got my 10 to 12 builds ready, and I really must only mix my work between those 12 and not dig out new stuff, which I love doing. Just pulling out models and doing a little bit here and a little bit there. But I don't think I should really continue along the path of builds that all progress but nothing gets finished. So we'll see if I can start achieving that. I've got my list for this year, which includes the Phantoms and the Mustangs mainly, and then another 5 to 10 models, some of which were fixes, some of which are just completions, but a couple of fresh ones, including that GSX, this one which has now got decals in it, but this box, that GSX 750 police bike. So that is also one of the ones coming up for completion. I'm busy getting Reno markings together. This Phantom decal sheets, which are huge compared to some of the other little decal sheets. So I'm busy getting things together, but I'm going to have to try and focus on models that really need to be worked on. I know I won't uphold that principle that strongly, but I'll try. So the Phantoms are really the most urgent right now, and then as far as painting, it's bits on the Mustang. So that's what I should be doing. This has not changed since you last saw it. Still planning and have to mask that off and mask the canopies. Okay, I will see if I can get to some work on things that should be worked on. And next update coming soon. But tell me about this. Tell me about, put a little ridge of stretched sprue around the base there to just give a little corner to mount this on, or just put glue, because I've still got to do framing. It's not a lot, luckily. This thing has got minimal framing, but I've still got to do framing on that. And I was thinking of doing the framing on there rather than holding it in my hand. Maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe pushing on it is simply going to break it out. Maybe I need to do the framing on this while it's off and then glue it on. Tell me your thoughts. Okay, till next time. Cheers.